Here in Office 5521, 20 September 2020, we are listening some news, and we kind of could have the pattern of distortion on the digital space. It's look like something, globally speaking, very complicated, related with corruption on public department, corruption on company, coalition by corruption, and set the trails of illicit gains. We exposed this pattern on the DBS healing system 01.blogspot.com. We had some tests, and we can observe that sometimes you have one not authorized access to your signal, and this not authorized access you have an open signal with multiples uh, connections on this access, and it will be a simulation as you, but indeed it's not you, it's an access not authorized, maybe by a fail of the internal control of the company and linked with the police department or things like this. You can blame and scapegoat yourself, blaming anyone else, or take advantage to create embarrassing situation as you have remote access of the personal computer, and sometimes you interrupt the logistic process on the postal system or something like this and change the machine. Its pattern, in all patterns you can observe that we have indeed a circuit, which is the request that you make as the information or the access to the digital space or the purchase that you did. And you have, in general, a very specific authorization, which is your request, and then we will have the delivery of the thing that you ask for. But if you have a fail with at the thing that you asked for, the fail is inside this circuit, but maybe it's a problem not related with the regular flow of this circuit. We had a problem. Let's suppose your network access as instrument on your computer have a lot of doors, I would say, that allowed you to have the entrance. And I was thinking like this: if you have multiples access, maybe those doors are gonna be used, kind of. You will have your Wi-Fi inside your notebook or something like this, and then you will observe that you have a lot of doors to have the access, each one with one very specific type of access. So I've decided to close all those doors and let only one, which is the access. And for my surprise, I had to buy another Wi-Fi. I mean, I have three Wi-Fis, and in the very first moment, they are working regular. And I switched the Wi-Fi and put one because the first one is too old, and this is too old. Only the only one that is functional now, and I have two Wi-Fi's with the new band, which is the M band, allowed me to have more capacity at the transference. But it's not working. Maybe because you had closed the access to this Wi-Fi, considering the possibility of have clandestine lines, you observe that you have something like this. You will have your one, you know, which is the structure of the network, and then you will have the LAN as the local access to the network. And then you will have the distribution of the access to the houses of the people or person inside this environment. I think that's something like this. It's not my area, business and finance, but I try to take a shot. And then let's suppose that this is my house, you know, and inside my house I will have the access to the modem, and at this modem I will have three possibilities as Wi-Fi. The first one too old and I had to buy a new one, but this new one was having a lot of problems. as part of the conjuncture Brazil, and I had a conclusion, which was a systemic crime research. And in a very specific one, no one cheers me up. You know, everybody trying to put me down all the time. Scapegoat things as, consequence of my anti-crime research. I must be blamed by the crime committed by others. Brazil is a joke. So, I have to buy a new one. And for my surprise, in the very first moment, this new one was very functional. And this new one give me the access, give me I can identify if I have a not authorized entrance inside my network. But if you block this access, which is identified, this, Wi-Fi, this routering, and the other was not working, I will have only one option. But this will happen if you have the access of to this structure here, which is something complex, and of course it's beyond the circuit of my house. And maybe we have here an evidence of association by the provider of this kind of service. We have a distortion in this area here, maybe have the selective, access to the internet. Let's suppose that you have only this signal, which is the older router, and you cloned this line here, which you clone this line here. It means that you have something like this, a square, which is the cloned line of this access because you had blocked two others. And then you have a storage data here, and this storage data will be used, let's suppose if you have the transference of 5G, to try to put me down one more time, even after I have conquered my prizes and have my compensation. By the way, it's 1% of the first 3 trillion. And if the Secretary of the United States, Mr. Mike Pompeo, would like to have me a great hand to have discharged 50-50, you can have 50 as a payment for the very difficult work which will be have discharged. And the amount is part of the Interpol anti-crime budget. So you will have this transference here, as you can observe, which is a square as clandestine, access to this area because you close the other two types of possibility as access by routering that you have to your modem. I think that this can happen on your modem, so it's pointing to the company, which is the provider of the modem signal. Or inside this structure here, that is something more complex that I don't know, but looks like that in Brazil we have the problem, which is the police department linked with criminal activity. This happens around the globe, but I'm having this problem in Brazil because indeed I'm living right now in Brazil. It means that if you have your car robbed, you probably will have any kind of association with some specific areas at the police department. If you have frauds, financial frauds, maybe you because they make the registry, and we have a large number of events related with fake registry, with transference as public registry at the police department, where this will set a new reality by payment. And if you kill someone else, you can change the reality and blame anyone else, scapegoating yourself. This kind of thing is kind of a scary thing because let's suppose that you have an environmental damage and you modify the entire thing and you destroy a company, like Coca-Cola. Can you see how terrible things are in Brazil? We really need help, and help is put those. This is a criminal organization on jail. We have distortion on public budget since 2012. Olympics, FIFA, and now the COVID-19. I think, in my opinion, that is the same group acting all the time and have special protection by our top level of institutions that may be organizing the crime in the same way. This kind of thing you can request at the Supreme Court if you'd like. Have a nice Sunday.